Hey everyone, it is Tanya. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you are new here. Today I'm back with another speed build, and this is going to be a family cottage that is boho or bohemian inspired, and it's going to be quite colorful as well. It's been on my list for a while to do some sort of colorful bohemian or boho house, and I haven't really done it yet. For some reason, this is a style that I tend to only decorate apartments with, and so today we are going to decorate a full 3-bedroom house, fully decked out in boho decor and lots of color. So I hope you will enjoy this one. If you do and you'd like to download it for yourself, it is available right now on the Sims 4 gallery. You can find it under my EA ID, which is Gryphi, Gryphi. You could also find it under the hashtag Gryphi, and that information will be in the description down below as well. Also in the description, you can always find like the price of the lot, which lot I placed it on, what it's named in the gallery, all of that sort of information, bedrooms, bathrooms. I always make sure to include that in the description. But anyway, the shape of the house is starting to come together here. I had a vague idea of what I wanted it to look like, but I wasn't entirely sure, and I quickly end up with this bright orange exterior, which I do keep. I think it is so fun. I wanted something that felt playful and colorful and, I don't know, maybe kind of spring-like, even though it is not spring here right now. We are entering into winter in the northern hemisphere, but I really just wanted to do something that was fun and colorful. So this orange was perfect for that, and I am trying to figure out what sort of windows I want to use in this space. And at first I used some base game ones, but I am going to actually be swapping them out and primarily using some windows from the Moschino stuff pack, which we will get to here shortly. It's just first I wanted to extend the size of the upstairs, so I am playing around with the roofs to accommodate that, and this ends up having plenty of space for your Sims. It's a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom house, plus there is an office space. It's not a separate room, a separate artist studio, and also a like little, I guess you could call it a greenhouse. I do have some planters in there, and there is also a flower arranging table, but it's just like a cozy room that's all glass that you can hang out in. So it ends up being a pretty big house, and I've been building a lot of bigger things on the channel lately, which has been really fun. I've just been having so many different ideas that I want to create, and a lot of them tend to be on the bigger side, which makes it so it takes longer for them to come out, but I'm so glad to finally be sharing this one. I know I have shared some smaller things recently, and I have a couple more small things that I have been working on, because if I worked on only big builds, there would be like almost no uploads on the channel, as they take a long time to do. But I also have so many other ideas that I feel like can be contained into smaller builds, and I love tiny houses and apartments and things like that, so those are always fun to sprinkle in as well. But if you have any ideas of things you would like to see on the channel, whether that's larger homes, smaller homes, tiny houses, apartments, community lots, any of that, definitely let me know, especially as we are heading into December. I do want to do some seasonal builds that are around winter or the holidays, and I think that could be really fun. So if there's anything in particular you would like to see, definitely let me know in the comments. I love reading your suggestions. But working on the little greenhouse now, I used the windows and the roof texture that came with the Greenhouse Haven kit. I think that kit is so good. I love the windows, and they recently added an update having the wall texture as well for glass walls that match the roof and the windows that came with that pack. It was a nice surprise. I wasn't expecting to get that patched in at any point. I just figured it didn't come with it, so we weren't gonna get it, so that was kind of nice. But anyway, here I have added more to the upstairs, made the bump out a little bit bigger because I wanted to make sure there was plenty of space in the top floor of this house. And then I am getting some of these beautiful flowers going up the side of the build, and I will be changing them to a purple color instead of this red. I think it just complements the orange so much better, and here we are starting to change those over. I just love how that looks, and then I just wrap them around the side of the building as well. I believe these flowers are in a few different packs in Show Live Edit Objects, but the version I'm using is the one in the regular catalog, which comes with Jungle Adventure. And then I grabbed a couple of these trellis pieces and placed them inside the greenhouse, and those ones are from high school years. There's actually a ladder you can get that matches them, so your Sims can actually climb up and down the trellis, which is really cool, but I didn't place that in this build. I just wanted them to be a decorative piece inside the greenhouse. And then I am working on the landscaping, figuring out some of the trees I want to have on this lot. I used mostly trees that came with Show Live Edit Objects in Get Together, as I am building in Windenburg, which is the world that came with Get Together. We're actually building on the island of Windenburg, on my favorite lot, which is mid-nowhere. It's just a really cute small lot that is tucked into the island with lots of nature around it. It's just really pretty, and I've always enjoyed building here. And I usually build like tiny houses or like really small homes here, and I feel like this is a pretty spacious house. It ends up not having much yard space because of that, but you have the whole island around you with beautiful water views, so I think it's okay. Also, at this point, I wasn't really sure what Sims I had in mind that would be living here. I just knew I wanted something colorful and bohemian, so that was sort of developed as I was building, and this is a house that ends up having two kids, one that is a child and one that is either a very young teen or at the end of childhood, like a tween. So that is sort of what I had in mind, and they both really love the color pink. So I fully decorated their rooms with that in mind, and they end up being really cute bedrooms. I'm excited to share them. But with that, I end up towards the end of the build adding a swing set outside for them in the front yard, as there's not much of a backyard for this house, and I thought that that was nice, and I feel like their activities will probably be mostly spending time outside on this island, but they both have lots of activities to do inside. There's a couple of things in each of their rooms, and I believe I add a dollhouse in the living space as well. Getting ahead of myself a little bit here though, I am still decorating outside, getting a little pathway that leads you up to the front door. I decided to put it on a bit of an angle just to make it look a little bit more interesting. And then picking out a lot of flowers. I used primarily hydrangeas out here, and I made them in this purple swatch to match the flowers that were going up the side of the building, and mixed in a little bit of white flowers and just some plain bushes as well, just to make it a little bit more interesting looking. And I do some terrain paint now, but it does disappear because we do still have that horrible terrain paint glitch in the game. So ignore that because it will not look like that later on. I will be redoing it. But luckily, this is a lot where I didn't do a ton of terrain paint, so it wasn't that big of a deal to redo it. Anyway, I also wanted to add a bike outside, and I do add another one later on so that there is one that is for a child, whereas the one out there right now could be for an adult or a teenager. And at this point, I am still using these base game windows. Like I said, I will be swapping them out for Moschino ones a little bit later on, but for right now, I think those ones do look pretty, and here I am expanding the upstairs to get some more space. I do this a few times as I am trying to figure out like the best way to maximize the space in the house and also make it look nice from the outside, so it takes me a while to figure out exactly where I should put everything, and I left most of that process in. What I decided to do though was have a bump out over on this side and make sure that the roof lined up with the side porch, so that way it looked more natural for the roofing. And then I just extended that piece across to make sure that it lined up with the rest of the roofs. And at that point I did need to extend the size of the house as well, and that's actually how I ended up extending the bump outs in the front and the back to have more interior space, and also why I decided to change out the windows because they looked pretty small for the space now that everything was one tile wider. So I ended up grabbing the Moschino windows, and they just fit so much better on the roof than the ones I had before. They fill in the space a lot better. But once again, talking about stuff on the voiceover before it actually happens on screen, but I should be swapping out those windows here now. I love the Moschino windows, by the way. I think they are so pretty. And I love that they are actually open, at least the size of them is. I think it's really nice, and they worked beautifully with the Greenhouse Haven kit windows that I used on the greenhouse portion of the house. They're very similar style, so I was happy with that. And now we're heading inside to figure out where the staircase is going to go and work on the floor plan. And all of the bedrooms end up being upstairs. There are 3 bedrooms, and then 2 of the bathrooms are upstairs, then I have 1 downstairs. And I started by kind of sectioning off which room was going to be the kitchen and where I was going to have the dining room. And that's what I'm doing now, just putting down some placeholder furniture. Although at this point, I really did think I was going to use this set of counters from the Parenthood pack in this color even, and I did not end up using those at all. I also thought I could try to use the sofas from Movie Hangout, as it is very much a very colorful bohemian pack. But I didn't use those sofas either because I find them very difficult to use. I did use a couple of items from that pack though, so you'll see those. But anyway, moving upstairs, we are figuring out the floor plan here. I have the 2 kids' bedrooms over on the right side of the build, and they have a Jack and Jill or shared bathroom where there's a door from each of their bedrooms. And then the primary bedroom has their own ensuite as well. So there's no hall bathroom upstairs, but there is a full bathroom on the bottom floor with a shower and a tub as well. So if you do need an additional one that's not attached to a bedroom, that is on the main floor. But working on the kitchen now, I started by trying to use the countertops from Parenthood, but I quickly switched to these base game ones in this green swatch, which I thought was so pretty. And I actually paired them with another green counter where the countertop is made out of wood. I liked the idea of having like a butcher block for the island, and that one is from the Country Kitchen Kit. I also was able to use the fridge from Parenthood because it has the same green surrounding it, and I thought it was so pretty. I was actually really happy with how this kitchen comes out, and I actually shared some sneak peek pictures specifically of this kitchen for my YouTube members over the last week or so as I was working on this. So shout out to my YouTube members, you know who you are, and if you are interested in joining to get sneak peek looks at future builds, early content, and exclusive members only content, you can click the join button below the video or the link in the description. I also do thank yous at the end of every video as well. It's not necessary, but it is another way to support me as a creator if that is something that you're interested in doing, and there's some perks involved with it as well. Anyway, trying to figure out the backsplash in this kitchen took me a while. I tried so many different things because I really wasn't sure what color scheme or pattern I wanted to go for, other than I knew I wanted the green counters. And I tried so many different options, and actually the one I ended up going with, I believe, is a tile from the Sleek bathroom kit, which I haven't placed down yet, and I'm also swapping out the window in the kitchen to be one of the mosquito windows, and I knew I wanted to have some open shelving over here, which I have so much fun cluttering. It's one of my favorite things to do is cluttering spaces, and open shelving, it's really fun to do that with. Although I feel like after you have a lot of open shelving in a build, it gets a little bit tedious trying to figure out what other items I haven't used yet, because this is the first open shelving, so it was fine. But I have quite a few other surfaces to decorate in this house, and so I did start struggling a little bit with what items I wanted to put, because I want it to look natural and realistic, but I also want it to feel like it is the style of this house. So, for example, a lot of the plants are things that I ended up using multiple times, especially like the drapey plants. They are perfect for this style. And up here, I also got lots of different dishes. I used this little bird statue that came with one of the recent creator kits. We have some bottles of wine and books and just so much stuff up on these shelves, and I think they come out really, really cute in the end. I really like that it's such a cluttered area of the kitchen, but the kitchen overall doesn't feel cluttered. I just have a lot of neat, organized clutter on the open shelves. It really shows how if you intentionally place things and organize items, having a lot of extra clutter pieces doesn't always look messy. It doesn't have to. It just depends on how you organize them on a shelf. And I honestly need to learn from myself in The Sims on how to do this in real life, because I feel like my place just looks cluttered, but that's also because I like to collect things and I have lots of knickknacks, but I do like how it looks in The Sims. I just don't think in real life I could be trusted with open shelving in a kitchen. It would probably be a mess all the time. I would actually love to know how many of you have open shelving in your kitchen and if it stays clean. Does it look organized all the time, or does it feel like it's always full of clutter? I can't imagine keeping it organized, so I'm just really curious if any of y'all have it and how you keep it clean if you do. Anyway, the kitchen is pretty much done now. I think it came out so cute, and we are moving on into the dining room, where I'm trying to figure out the curtains and the rug, and I also decided to have a wall that separates where the entry is from the rest of the dining room. I try so many different rugs and tables in here before we get to our final version. And I also end up swapping out the half wall for a full length wall in the entryway and put some windows through it to make a nice divider. You'll see that here momentarily. But I think these are the same chairs I end up using. I just swap out the table and the rug a bunch of times. But these chairs are from Seasons, and I just think they are so pretty, and I loved how they looked in this space. I'm fairly certain I did keep this rug in the end, just in a different swatch. Yeah, this one from Growing Together, and then I used some of the new shelving pieces that we got from the Modern Retreat kit, I think is what it was called. That was a recent creator kit, and you can see I swapped out the table as well for a base game one. It's much more similar in color to the chairs, and then you can see I'm gonna keep moving this window back and forth as I decide where the shelves are going to go. I also really wanted to make sure I used this laundry day shelf that has baskets all around it So just trying to figure out the best way to line all of this up is a lot of like shifting items around. I also ended up changing the color of the curtains to be this really pretty like beige or cream color. And I tried using this shelf under the window that has some pillows and stuff in it. I just thought it was pretty, but it didn't really make sense for a dining room. So I am going to swap that out in a little while here. I also decided to change the stools in the kitchen to an orange color. And here is where I get the window that I use as a divider. This one is from Jungle Adventure, and I thought it was a perfect divider to lead you into the space. So that way the entryway feels separate from the dining room. And then I'm starting to clutter up these shelves. I wanted to make sure I had some cute plates on display. These ones are from Parenthood. I believe I also get some like books and plants and paintings. I thought that this painting set from the, oh my goodness, what is the name of the kit? The Grange Mudroom kit worked really nicely. I just kind of merged it with the shelf so it looks like those things are leaning there instead. And also from that kit is this little sideboard that I put under the window instead of that laundry day shelf. It comes in a beautiful orange color, and it really just matched with the front door and the stools in the kitchen. So I was really excited about that. But that's pretty much it for decorating those shelves. I also just made sure to get a record player in here. I just thought it would be nice to listen to some music while you're eating. And then just a calendar before we head to the entryway, where I used a beautiful side table that came with Adventure Awaits actually. And I placed down a plant, and I think my favorite lamp in the game currently. Yeah, this new one from Modern Retreat as well. It is so pretty. It's just a simple lamp. And something about that is just very appealing in this game because so many things are overly stylized. So when you get something simple, it feels like it's exciting because it's so versatile and easy to use. Anyway, we are now moving on into the living room where I tried a few different sofas before I got to the ones I'm actually going to be using. I do use this Book Nook 2-seater that I already have placed down. And then for the full 3-seater couch, I actually end up using one that came with high school years that has some pillows and blankets on it that I think is so, so pretty. But I tried some eco lifestyle ones and I think one from the paranormal stuff pack as well before we got there. But here is that green couch that I do end up using in the end. It's really cute. I love the color scheme. It fits in with the pastel greens that I had in the other room as well. Not that every room has to match, but I feel like it needs to feel like it cohesively fits with the rest of the house, as I imagine the same Sims decorated all of the rooms with the exception of the kids' rooms where they had more input on that. And I got to use one of my favorite rugs in the game. I want to say this one is from City Living. I'm not entirely sure on that though, but we are playing around with the colors in here of both the TV stand and the couch and also adding so many plants. Just trying to add things until I feel like it's complete. I also added a wardrobe in the corner. I know it doesn't make the most sense in The Sims to have a wardrobe in the living space, but in real life, you can use pieces like that for literally whatever you'd like. And we had a large wardrobe in our living room when I was growing up, and I just always think of stuff like that in living spaces as extra storage for random items, extra electronics, not towels, maybe blankets and stuff for the couches. So I placed that in the corner. It is from Movie Hangout, and I felt like it really matched everything that I had in this room. And then I added my favorite mirror in the game as well, which is from Jungle Adventure. And then this little corner is just supposed to be for the kids. So I just added a cardboard dollhouse from Eco Lifestyle. And then I didn't have a dedicated office room in this house, so I just made this little section by the steps a space for your Sims to use the computer. So I have this desk from, I think it's from Lovestruck, with a couple of decorations on it and a desktop computer. And I believe I add a shelf up above as well with some books on it and a little plant. And the books are technically a shelf on their own, but I like to place them on top of another shelf so it looks like there's a stack of books sitting on a shelf. I just really like the way that looks. And that little plant I want to say is from the Grange Mudroom kit. It's a pretty new plant that I haven't gotten the chance to use that much, but it's really small and I love a tiny plant in this game. Anyway, we're back in the living room now and I am just adding a couple of decorations on the TV stand, which I believe is also technically a dresser in the game. That one is from the For Rent pack. And then we are moving into the downstairs bathroom where I merged a side table and a sink. I have it pushed into the wall so the sink should function, but I will make sure to play test this before I upload it to the gallery. No worries on that. And I believe I actually do show the other two bathrooms in this build as well, but they're not as in depth of showing the whole process because I copy and pasted all of the furniture upstairs first. But they are pretty much the same with the exception of one of the bathrooms doesn't have a tub. It is just a shower. but I'm primarily using the assets from the sleek bathroom kit, and then the sink is actually from Dream Home Decorator, but I did use the shower and the tub from Sleek Bathroom, and the rug, and a bunch of like the different accessories like the like toilet brush and the toilet paper. Those are all from Sleek Bathroom. And then the art I'm placing on the walls in here is actually from Tiny Living. I just thought it looked really pretty having the greenery in here. And the little shelf that's fully decorated above the toilet is also from Tiny Living. But that is pretty much it for this downstairs bathroom. I should be moving on to the art studio that's next door after I place down a rug, of course. And this one ends up being a very green room. Like a lot of the other rooms have like blue or orange. This one I focused on green, and I did not keep the rug this color. You're going to see that it is this color the whole time I'm working on the room. But then as I'm popping around the rest of the house, you'll see it has changed to more of a beige. I just felt like it was a little bit too dark of a green for the space when I looked back at it. But when I was decorating it, I didn't mind it. And I still feel pretty strongly about that. I feel like I'm glad that I changed it to more of a beige and we kept the green walls. And I ended up using a lot of decor in here from the artist studio kit since it's an art studio. I used some base game stuff as well. And I ended up putting a woodworking bench in here so your Sims can work on a couple of different skills. But just getting some storage and a place to hang up a smock. And here is that woodworking bench. I did use the one from Artist Studio because it's like covered in paint and scuffs. I thought that made a lot of sense. And then I added the little like shelf above it that has some tools on it. That one is from the Restoration Workshop kit. I think of it as more of like a garage kit, but since I had woodworking, I figured having all of the tools above it made a lot of sense. And then here's that little greenhouse room that I had mentioned earlier. I knew I wanted to have the love seat in here from the movie Hangout stuff pack. It is just perfect for this style of home, and I decided to go with the one that was a little bit more neutral, but with the blue pillows, and then I brought in a blue rug and lots of plants all around it. And then there is on the other side of the room a flower arranging table, which comes with seasons. So your Sims can work on their flower arranging. And I put a decorative plant and a couple of functional planters in here as well. So it's a greenhouse you could actually work on your gardening skill. And then it's probably not the smartest idea, but I did put a table with a little candle on it in here. I just thought it would be really cozy. So I decided to do that. And that is it for the greenhouse. And then we're moving upstairs into the ensuite bathroom for the primary, which is a little bit bigger, but has all of the same fixtures as downstairs. And then the other bathroom up here is shared by the kids. It's not accessible through the hallway. There's a door in each of the bedrooms. It's called a Jack and Jill bathroom. And it doesn't have the tub, but it does have the shower. And as you can see, it's all the same fixtures. It's just a little bit of a different layout. And I really liked how this one came out. I don't do Jack and Jill bathrooms very often in my builds, but it was the only way it was going to fit into the layout. And I'm really, really pleased with it. I think it's really cute. I added a lot of pink and color in here, and I hadn't fully decided what the color schemes for the kids' bedrooms were yet when I was decorating the bathroom, but it definitely influenced me to have more pink in these bedrooms, which was really, really fun. So just picking out the beds for all three rooms. One is gray and pink. Another one is more of a boho style with the woven headboard, and I have that same bed in a single version in one of the kids' rooms, and then the double version is in the primary bedroom. And this room I went with like greens and purples and reds, and it was very much inspired by this swatch of the bed, and I just think it is so pretty. It's not one I think I've used, or if I have, I haven't used very often. But you can see me trying to section off the room. I decided to have some built-in closets from Get Together in here to help make the room feel a little bit less massive and make it make a little bit more sense. So I have the bed over on one side, and there's actually going to be two wardrobes that you walk through to get to the bathroom. I just haven't added the other one yet. I also tried adding this same like wardrobe piece that I have downstairs in the dining room from Grange Mudroom, but I in the end didn't really like the orange in here. It felt a little bit out of place, but I did get this open shelf up above the bed where I put all sorts of decorations on, including plants and like photos and stuff. I have been loving this piece of decor that came with Grange Mudroom that has the two pieces of art leaning with the little plant next to it. I just think it is so cute, and it was perfect for this space. And then I should be swapping out the wardrobe. Yeah, getting rid of that now and ending up using the same one I used in the living room, which is from For Rent. And for the bedside table, I have this beautiful side table from the Laundry Day stuff pack. I just put a couple of decorations up there, including this lamp and a little box, plus a place to put your glasses and your watch at night. And I got another one of those lamps over on the dresser, as well as a TV so that they could watch TV in bed. I think that's pretty realistic, and so I like to add it into a lot of my houses. I don't always, but I do like how it looks, and it's something I've always had in a bedroom. Well, not always. I wasn't like a little kid with a TV in my bedroom. I remember getting my first TV as a child, though. I got a TV and a DVD player for Christmas one year, and I was so excited. And it was a like big box TV that needed its own like dresser to go on because it was really large. I think it also had a built-in spot for you to put a VHS tape, if I'm remembering correctly, but we had separate DVD players. Anyway, upstairs, here is the landing area, and I just put some bookcases and a little sofa out here. They are both from the Book Nook kit. I just thought it'd be a nice cozy spot to have your Sims relax, and then I put a little bit of art on the walls as well. I used these ones, which I think are from Seasons or Cats and Dogs, but I don't like the black frames, so I layered some artwork from the Tiny Living pack on top of it to change the frames. And it's the same artwork that I put here in this first bedroom, which is going to be for our slightly older kid or tween or young teenager. This one is very much inspired by the bedspread of this bed from high school years. I thought the colors were so fun, so I really leaned into the greens and the pinks in here. I used the bedside table and the dresser, both from Parenthood, that come in this really pretty pink swatch, and then for the artwork above the bed, I believe this is from Movie Hangout as well, and I just thought it was the perfect color scheme. I also made sure to add some like photos of friends that were taken from high school years in the shape of a heart. There is a jewelry box up here and just like a bunch of regular teen or tween clutter. I just really wanted this space to feel lived in. They also have a really cute lamp on their bedside table. I really like that one. I'm trying to remember what pack it is from because it's from a kit and we have so many at this point. I want to say it's from the living room kit. I can't think of the name of it right now though. Anyway, we have moved on to the other kids' room, and this one is for a younger kid. Their color scheme is pink and gray, and I love this little rug that has the sheep on it. It's just so adorable. I also got a little bunny light and a fox lamp and a freezer bunny stuffed animal and stuff. I just really wanted the bedside table to be covered in all sorts of cute clutter, some books and stuffed animals and stuff like that. Also, this mirror from the kids' room stuff pack is perfect with the little flower stickers all over it, and it always reminds me of Monsters, Inc. I just think of Boo when I see that. So that's just something I would mention. Same thing with this little toy box. It has the same color scheme, so that makes sense. But I made sure to add a wardrobe, a toy box, and a large stuffed animal in here for this kid to play with, and then a second rug to fill up the rest of the space. And then here finally is the swing set that I had mentioned earlier on in the voiceover. It has finally made its way outside, and then I'm going to be finishing up the landscaping and getting a trash can. So with that, I really hope you enjoyed this build. If you did, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. You can also subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see more, and click that bell to be notified when I upload. And a massive thank you to my YouTube members for your continued support. If you'd like to become a member yourself, you can click the join button below the video or the link in the description. Please enjoy the screenshots, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye, everyone.